Hi folks, welcome to my Bit Retro Journal. I'm playing with my Timex Sinclair 1000, the ZX81 clone, and I have my unfinished Elite game on here. Let me actually run it. Start. This is actually the machine code version, so it runs nice and fast. So let's see if I can't kill a pirate. And stick is going to go, I can fire. Stick is going to go down, oops, up, to the right, there we go. I want to go down, there we go. Can I fire on him? Probably want to go. It gets a little hard because you got to, there we go, can I fire? I'll probably want to go in this direction. Oops. So I'm actually thinking of building a joystick interface for the for my Timex Sinclair 1000. That's going to be a future video, but yeah, I'm having a hard time. There he goes. Boom, boom, boom. One more. There we go. Got him. But that's not what I want to do in my video today. So this is actually the machine code version. So if I break out of it. Forget how you break out of it. It's not via space. I guess I could just fire. Waste all my ammo. Yeah, this was done with mcoder too, but yeah, I actually forgot how to, there we go. But I'll show you that I have one other one, which is the, so now that I'm good, I can actually load, and I'm using OTLA fast loader, so it's going to go pretty fast, but this is the basic version, which runs a little slower. And what I want to do today is, this is the basic version, and this will run, as you can see, much slower. But what I want to do today is I actually want to port it over to my Spectrum. And so there's different ways you could do it. I could, for instance, I'm sure I could turn this into I can turn it into a text file, which it is, on a PC, and then potentially turn that text file to a TAP file, or what's the other one, a ZTX? But there's a cool program on the Spectrum called ZX81 or Slowloader, and it actually is capable of reading not only ZX81 BASIC files, but from an actual cassette. So I think that's pretty cool. So you can actually, it's not an emulator. What it is a translator. So it'll actually do some parsing of your, once it's read it in, and make some changes so that it can run under the ZX Spectrum or ZX Spectrum BASIC. And so I want to give that a try. And I've had a little bit of trouble because unfortunately, I haven't been able to get, I can load ZX slow load on here, but it's unable to, whatever I've tried, volume levels and whatnot, it just can't seem to load this particular file saved as a WAV file. So I'm going to have to use, partly I'm going to have to use an emulator, because it works on the emulator, and I haven't been able to figure out why it doesn't work on here. And I'll show you what happens. Got the Spectrum set up, and it's got a really nice screen. This is my 48K Spectrum, not the 16K one that still needs fixing. So I'm going to load the ZX Slowloader, and again, I've gotten more comfortable using the Spectrum, so it's kind of nice to learn something new. So I'm going to start that up. And I do like how the Spectrum kind of shows you that, oh, this is the program you're loading, and then, yeah. The one thing I don't know is if it's doing its own sort of fast load. Is this normal, what the screen should look like? The audio file looks very similar to OTLA, so I don't know if it's running quicker. but it's only 28 seconds. Yeah, here we go. And so at this point, it will have basically started itself. Note at the top, it has sort of this weird map of, it's not characters, it's almost like noise. And it might be doing what the, I forget which compiler I did a video on this, a basic compiler on the QL used part of its screen memory to actually do the compile. So maybe it's doing the same thing here. But in any case, you enter the program name. If you just enter return, it'll just pick the first one. I don't want to load variables, contents of variables, so I'm going to say no to that. And then basically you just hit enter here, and then you just start the program. The program I'm going to load is the same one I loaded into the basic version that I loaded into this. That you actually saw me load it in. So it loads perfectly fine on the ZX81, but here it goes. Now when you hear it, you should actually get a bar, like a small bar that goes across the top of each line, and that's just not happening. So yeah, and I've tried different volume levels, I've tried all sorts of things, and just haven't been able to figure it out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my PC and show you what it should actually look like. So here is the 81 emulator, and I have it set for a Spectrum. And again, I've got this set to source is going to be WaveLoader, and I have the WaveLoader open. So the way this is going to work is I'll show you. I will open Slow Load Wave, which is the same one I loaded into the Spectrum. Open it up, and then I just have to say load here. If I remember how to do this. There we go. And again, it'll be 28 seconds to load in. And yep, similar look to my real one. And but I'll show you what happens next. So you see right here, I have the actual ZX81 Elite Wave file that I loaded into my Timesync 1000, but it would not load into my actual Spectrum. So here I'm just going to, here I'm going to choose Elite, and here I'm going to just type yes, or hit return for the empty string, no, and then here, and you can see as soon as it starts loading, there's a little bit of header, but yeah. So as soon as it recognizes it, that's what it's supposed to do. And I just haven't been able to do that. So it's the same file, 81 can do it, but my actual Spectrum cannot. Whereas my Timesync 1000 has no problem with the same wave file. So I don't know what's going on. If you know, as you can see up here, you can see that there's some pixels being changed. So this has got to be perhaps the map. Maybe this is just showing memory, or maybe it's just using part of screen memory. Again, that's what the QL's I forget the name of the basic compiler. It was yeah, it escapes me now. I'll put it in the I'll write it in a note in the video. But so I don't know if it's doing a similar thing. This one is going to take about 3 minutes. So I'm going to fast forward over this. And there is the listing. Now, as we scroll through this, you'll note that it didn't quite get everything. For instance, this is usually an inverted period, so it doesn't work here. So I'd have to use a different graphic. But also, there's no plot, so you can see 1380 there's a plot here. Actually, I've already fixed this, but the way I fixed this is I would go list 1380, and then shift edit, we go. Let's go up. Where's my crows? There it is, 1380. Yeah, so I can go edit this. And then here, this is just, you can just replace that with plot. And that's easy, although it doesn't quite work because plot, first of all, it doesn't plot a block, a quarter block. It plots a little pixel and it inverts the plotting, so it actually has a funny result. But let's continue listing, and you'll see, oh, that's not what I wanted. I'll list 1380. It's the, at 1500 you can see the U's. So list 1500. And then we can just go shift 1. And here, the way you do this one is you go plot and shift over 1, comma. And so that's an unplot. And so I did that in a few places, and what I ended up getting is a fixed version of this. So I'm going to show that to you. If you run this, it'll run a little bit, but it'll eventually crash. So you can see these are all inverted. It doesn't have the gray or the pixelated one. And then for some reason it screwed up this picture. I don't understand why. It got all this right, but here it zigged instead of zagging. Kind of interesting. And then these are black. And if you run it, start, what you'll see is nonsense in BASIC, yeah. But I'll run it with my fixes and you'll see it's even funnier. So we're going to go back to the actual spectrum. So I've got the the fixed version of Elite read in. So if I do just a hit return and list through this, you'll see that I think it was 1380 that, yeah, so all the plots have been replaced with plots. You can see at the bottom 1380. And then in 1500, plot over 1. That's really all I had to do. But you'll see that now that I run this, it's going to look a little funny. It does the main stuff. Obviously, it doesn't do the inverted character graphics because it's not in its graphics set. But I've read that you could define characters. Is it Cap Shift S? That's what it is. Yeah, and so you can do fire. Oh, it's capital fire. Yeah, so that works. But you can see right at the bottom is where the bandit is, because it's a small, it's a tiny little bandit moving about, and they're on the wrong part of the display. The stars are not inverted, so it is kind of funny. Now if I go, so the maneuvering works, so that's nice. So lots of stuff works. So it just needs to, I need to address how I will do the bandit, and yeah, and then how to, I probably used color, right, instead of gray. So definitely has promise, but I'm not going to do this whole game. And of course it's running faster too. So let's break out of this, do a new. So some of this feels very familiar. And next one I did is Battleship. So I'm just going to load it in. Let's see what it looks like. I don't think this needs any fixing. I didn't do plots in here, but or unplots, but I do. I think that this is going to look pretty good initially. Yeah, but I do use inverse. So S and C would have been inverted. So do I want to change keys or start? I think one thing I've also seen is if I try to read keys, like change keys, the in key function here is fast, and I end up setting multiple keys. I think it buffers them, whereas on the ZX81, like you really have to hold the key down. So I probably would have to change how that works as well. But let's just start. There we go. And you'll see that the placement of your ships, vertical, horizontal, I'm going to say vertical. So again, the cursor would have been inverted. It's not. And so now I can go okay, I see. I actually don't have to hit shift. That's nice. And I can just hit set. Oops, capital S. And it sets it. I want to set the next one vertical and just set it. And the next one vertical and just set it. The next one. So it's really hard to see because they would all be inverted. So I would probably just make them different colors or an inverted different color. So I think fixing this would not be too difficult. Horizontal set. Yeah, and let's do another horizontal and we'll go set. No, I don't want to start. And then your turn, so I have to go A. No, I don't want to do A. I'll do D. Letters out of range. Oh, interesting. So yeah, I think I'm using, yeah, so I can't even play it. I think I'm computing those values somehow, and it's a different character set. So it's a good start, but let's break out of that. Do a new. This is a 16K program on the Atomic Sinclair 1000 ZX81, so that's pretty long program. So it works for the most part. Just have to change a little bit of the interface thing. The next one is going to be Minesweeper. Let me do that one. Yep, here it is. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. So I want to start. So 5, 6, 7, 8, and an O and M capital. So start. And it finished. So it's black, and the cursor is blinking black on black, because I think it was gray and black, and gray turned into black. So yeah, if I say open, so shift O, yeah, now you can see the cursor blinking. And if I go down, I think 6 is down, 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 and 8, and then oh. There we go. Now we get some clearing. As I said, this would just, can you do gray? No, you can do blue, red, green, cyan, yellow, white, and magenta. Yeah, so you could play around with different colors on these blocks. Obviously, on the Atomic Sinclair 1000 ZX81, it's either black or pixelated grayish. But yeah, this isn't bad, and obviously the game, the engine works, so that's important, and it works faster. There it is. There's the cursor. So now you can kind of see the cursor go. It works pretty well. It's just that you're blinking black on black. It doesn't quite work. Okay. And if you want to commit suicide, you can always open that. And here come the mines. Yep. Okay. We're going to quit that, and we're going to new, and we're going to do one more, last one. See how that fared. And this is going to be a long one, so I'm going to skip over it. All right, it loaded successfully, and again, this is a long program. Let's see what this looks like. Starting up board. So again, this only does BASIC. If you wrote machine code, does the Spectrum also put it in its REM statement? If so, then at least you could port over some generic machine code. It would be all of the specifics in terms of screen and memory and variables that you have to modify, but you could still get those over as well. Here's the board, and that did not go well. Oh, they're supposed to be, oh, they're inverse, that's why. So 5, 7, yeah. So it's a different character map, that's why. Because that's what I'm using for the pawns are 5s and inverse 5s, and I guess arc sign is the same as code for an inverse 5. So yeah, that needs a little bit of work. I can't really play that. So, but still, I bet the engine works. So it's a ZX Slowloader. I hadn't seen a video on it online. Came out in 1982, 83. Allowed bedroom coders who upgraded from their ZX81 to the Spectrum to move their code with them. I'd be interested to see how much machine code it actually carries over as well. I just don't know enough about the Spectrum to understand how that works. I know very well on the, I know how this works because I have done lots of machine code programming. I should resurrect my assembler that I wrote for this, but not for this. So I don't know as much about it, and I have done very little machine code on the QL because it has a C compiler, and why not use a high-level language? But cool program, kind of fun. Don't understand why I can't directly do the conversions on the Spectrum. If you understand why it's having trouble, there's no documentation with it. I tried different volume levels. Maybe it needs a louder, but I tried also amplifying it in Audacity and it just didn't help. So I don't know if I'm doing 44,100, is it I'm not so good with this. Is it hertz or megahertz? In terms of the kilohertz, I think. The sampling, and yeah, I don't know what it should be. So if you have an idea, I would love to get this to work direct, because I like always using real hardware. You know what's also really nice is I can do this. And because there's no RAM pack, I don't lose anything. There's no wobble. And I do like the keys. All right, I'm going to end here. Thanks for taking this journey with me into sort of exploring the Spectrum, a computer I did not grow up with, but I kind of like. It's nice and portable. I actually took it to work, and lunch break I was playing around with this. Anyway, I'll end here, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me.